Hey. I am so excited. You know why? This is the final week for our virtual book club for Think and Grow Rich. Can you believe that? We are on the final step, the final principle in this book to obtain riches. Now, remember, I talked about how riches can be whatever it is that you want it to be. Doesn't have to be just money. Money is good, but it can be relationships. It can be whatever you want it to be. So, we have spent, I don't even remember when we started, but this is week number 14. And for those of you who may just be joining me, we have gone through this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This book was written back in 1937. And the text in the book that I have is the original text. And it's funny because as I was reading the chapter for today, there was a word that was in there that I'm like, I don't even know. I've never heard anyone say this word. I knew what he meant, but it's not a word that we use. So if you don't have the book and you want to buy it, get an updated version because it's easier to understand. But just to recap, we started with desire. Do you remember that? That was the first step, that you have to have a burning desire to want something. That is necessary to get you into action and help you achieve what it is that you want. This book, when Napoleon Hill wrote it, he had interviewed over 500 men who had wealth. So, of course, with his riches, he was talking about money. But he interviewed over 500 men in a 25-year period. He did the research to figure out what it is that made people have success. What was the commonality between these people? And he came up with the 13 steps. So, as I said before, the first one was desire. Today, we are on the 13th step, and this step is called the sixth sense. This principle is really infinite intelligence and how it can communicate with us voluntarily. So he talked about the sixth sense being the guardian angel, the one who will open the door to you at all time, that will give you the wisdom that you need. But one thing that he talked about is that you have to be still. You have to be quiet and let the infinite intelligence, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, let it download into you. And that's where you get these ideas. That's when you get the steps to make these ideas come to fruition. Sometimes we get those nudges, those inspirations, something that says, that's the sixth sense. That's inside of you that gives you those hunches or nudges you and says, hey, you should think about this. Something you hadn't thought about before, but it comes to you and you don't know where it came from. That's the sixth sense. One of the things he also talked about in here is how he has an imaginary council meeting and he has cabinet members in this imaginary council meeting. And so what he did, the people who influenced him the most, so the Thomas Edison, the Henry Ford, the Mr. Burbank, whoever that is, Mr. Emerson, all these people, Andrew Carnegie, all these people was part of his imaginary council, his cabinet. And he would take from them whatever it is that they offered. So if someone was good at X, that he would put there and take that from them. So basically what he was doing is people who were mentors to him, people who inspired him or were where he wants to be. He took their qualities, their characteristics, and he had them in his council. And even though it was imaginary, it still worked for him. And he talked about how he was somewhat embarrassed or hadn't shared this until he wrote the book. And partly because it may sound a little crazy, right? But it really isn't. It's not that much different than if you have a vision board or a vision board where you paste the things up on a piece of paper and say, this is what I want. Like the pasting of the paper is not what's going to get you there. It's seeing yourself there. It's imagining you having what it is that you desire, sensorizing it. And that's what he did with his counsel. And I just want to remind you, because I know I talked about this before when we talked about imagination, but the mind does not know the difference between what is real and what's imagined. But the thing is, it needs to be a vivid imagination. Whatever it is that you're thinking about, it needs to be a vivid picture, something that you see all the details. So not just a blob, and that blob represents something. No, you need to see all the details of it. And the thing about it, because the mind doesn't know the difference, it's going to act accordingly as though it is already. So when you're in your imaginary council meeting and you have your people there, your mentors, the people who have influence over your life, just know that your imagination can work with you and work for you to get you to what it is that you want to attain. And I just wanted to share that because a lot of times people think I'm crazy when I talk about the imagination, but it's a tool that we can definitely use to our advantage. It takes some effort. I know a lot of times when I do my vision workshops and I ask people their vision, and people don't know. They don't have a clue. They hadn't even thought that far in advance. One, because they don't know how to dream. They don't know how to dream. And so they don't even spend the time dreaming because they're coming from their circumstances, they're coming from their conditions, how their life has been thus far, and not looking at the possibilities that's out there or could be out there, even if it seems far-fetched. Like, you don't have to worry about the how. The how will come. That will come from infinite intelligence. You just have to know where it is you want to get to. And then every day, get in action and move forward towards that. And then listen for those inspirations that come your way, those hunches, those nudges that says, why not try this? Have you thought about that? I mean, what do you have to lose, right? This book, and I can tell you that a lot of this stuff in the book really is the same that's in the Bible. I'm just saying. It's a lot of things in here that is really just the Bible. But I just want to say, like, sometimes I don't like to get too religious on people. This book says the same thing, can get you to the same place, but make it where you could receive it. Maybe that's the way I could say this. It is such a good book. It is not the Bible, okay? I'm not saying that. But some of the principles they talk about is biblical. Write the vision. Make it plain. We know that, right? Where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst. We talked about mastermind. So it is still some great things in here that we may know, but we just haven't really applied as we should. But if you don't have this book, I suggest you read it online. You can just Google Think and Grow Rich Chapter 1 and go on to Chapter 14, 15. How many other chapters are in here? And just read it. Read it for yourself or just buy the book and then highlight what it is that you need. Because if you recall, there are some steps, some things that you have to do, especially in the beginning. And so I hope you have enjoyed this book as much as I have. I don't know what's next. I don't know if I'll do another book. I know in between doing these weekly videos, I did the Becoming story from Michelle Obama. I talked about that. Well, seeing her. I also talked about You're a Badass, that book. And I think it was another one that I talked about too. So I know it hasn't been 14 weeks straight, but I do thank you for going on this journey with me because it has helped me a lot because I had to read the book, of course. And then when I come back to talk about the chapter, I have to read it again. So hopefully this stuff will stick with me. And I know I'm a work in progress, right? We all are. And I will have to keep revisiting it. But this is really, really good stuff. And I just thank you for going on this journey with me, for being with me every week. And some of you say things to me, maybe not in the group on Facebook or even on YouTube, but you say things to me outside of that. And I appreciate that. So I'm going to log off. We are ending this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's been a really good book. I have some other books that I'm going to start reading. And if they're worthy to come on and talk to you about those, I will do that as well. Because for me, it's really about growing. evolving and being the best person I can be. And I want to take other people on that journey with me. Like, it's not all about me, right? So if there's some other things that I find, other books that I think that would be of value to you, I may do this again. If not, I may go back to the way I was blogging before. Not sure. We'll see how it goes. I have to wait and see how I feel. But nonetheless, we're going to end this and I'm going to say toodles. So have a great evening, day, morning, night, whatever it is for you. And then until the next time, take care. Bye-bye.